And we are live. I'm Adam. This is Highly Articulated. I'm very excited today. Spoiler warning. I've got my Chuckles shirt on. So we'll see whether or not that has anything to do with the episode today. The music is still playing. Let me turn that off. I don't know why. But let's get right into it. We're going to talk about some G.I. Joe stuff. We're going to talk about Yojo June. We are going to talk about Yojo July, as it seems. We're going to talk a little bit about the Dragonfly, if we have time. And when I say we, I mean myself and my guest today. If you are not watching the Full Force podcast, you should be. He is one of my absolute favorite people to talk G.I. Joe with. Chris Diagnostic 80. AKA Snow Job.
Hi, how you doing,
What's
buddy?
Going on?
Good. I'm great to be on. I love this show, and I love you. So this is great.
It is an absolute pleasure to have you on. We were talking before we hit the live button that it feels like forever, and it's been about 6 months.
Still, I'll tell you, mate, that's a long time in the world of the Full Force.
Well, and it feels like a lifetime in G.I. Joe. I mean, we've had waves of figures delivered. We've had waves of figures revealed. We've had, a Haslab that's just about to hit, a pretty decent number of units. So
just broke 18K, by the way.
Yeah, people are people were, a few days ago saying there's no way it hits 19. And I was like,
come on, easy.
Like, who's been informing you of how these things work? This is going to crush 19.
Easy peasy.
I think 21. I think it'll be about 21. But we'll get there. We'll end off at the very end. We're going to go for an hour. And at the end, we'll check in with the Haslab. We'll see what it's at. And then we'll make our predictions. It ends tomorrow. So, I mean, it's
tomorrow evening, though. I think it's like 11:59. So we've got a whole day's worth of Monday to get through as well. It's going to be a fun evening, I think.
You're probably going to do a live at 6 a.m.
In the morning. I'll do.
Then,
hang on.
Midnight.
Tuesday morning, 4 a.m. I'll do the. I joke, but I'll be up at 4 a.m. to prep for that very episode in the morning. That we'll do a live on. Yeah, definitely.
When's the last day you didn't do a video?
Well,
can you remember?
Yeah, I mean, I did one yesterday. Today, I don't think I did. I didn't do anything today apart from the one I'm doing with you. So technically, yeah, that's been, well, let's face it. Yojo June has been phenomenal, right?
Yes.
That was a phenomenal month. I couldn't fault it in any way, shape, or form. And I know people think I'm a shill, whatever, but it was insanity. The whole month, so many reveals and funnily enough, minimal name only. I don't think there was any name only at all. We only got, technically, no, we did. We got the roundtable name onlys, didn't we? The Airborne and 788 Fire Team. So that was something we happily were on top of when it happened, which was great. That was fun. That was phenomenal. But usually it's 6 name only reveals, a bunch of digital renders and some pre-orders. And in a month, I don't think anyone was expecting it. We had the heads up, so we knew that a lot of stuff was coming that month. We knew it was going to be packed. We had a list of pre-orders, and I was looking at it I don't know how people are going to respond to this. I don't know if it's going to be wow, this is amazing, or please, can we slow down for a minute?
Yeah.
And there was a bit of a mixture of both, because what I've noticed so many times in previous Yojo Junes, which is the thing now, and it has been for 3 years, which is weird, The first Yojo June was in that first classified year, and
Yeah.
it was all they did, which I was trying to get into people's heads. It wasn't like they were not like going to be doing reveals every day. Like that's impossible. And then they did this month. Anyway, so the first year was just daily posts that were like little GIFs and little jokey images of G.I. Joe stuff. Like, you know, it was National Siblings Day or something. So the twins were on the screen. You know, it was stuff like that. And then
and
there was
cartoons on YouTube, stuff like that.
Yes, yeah. And there was like one event, one live event. That was it. The following year, they increased it a bit. We had like a couple of live events, not many, still it was minimal, and then like some other reveals and stuff. But then the following year, actually maybe that was the second year because we're in the third year now, aren't we? Yeah. So okay, the second year was like reveals and it was Instagram videos and it was maybe the His Tank Haslab as well, I think, or was that the following month? I can't remember now, but there was a lot of stuff going on. That was like August, wasn't it? That His Tank.
Yeah, I feel like it was later.
I can't remember. But anyway, there was a lot of stuff.
There's just so much. There's so much stuff.
There was stuff going. Oh, it was the Sky Striker updates and stuff, wasn't it? That was what it was. They were doing Sky Striker stuff, I think, at the time. But anyway, there was a lot more stuff, but it was still that thing. Everyone was moaning. Everyone was kind of like going, "No, we need more figures, and they absolutely delivered this Yojo June just gone, and Yojo July, which I joke about as being a thing because of SDCC and because like the continuation and everything, but it is just as busy as the previous month. Like this month has been stupid ridiculous.
At the end of June, I thought to myself, well, I'm glad we made it through that. I've been able to cover all the pre-orders and I'm okay with that. And then they're like, but wait, there's more.
But
like,
wait, no. There's more.
What about more army builders? What about more figures, named figures? What about, more tiers for the Dragonfly? Like there were more tiers. It just hasn't ended. June ended, but the G.I. Joe brand team hasn't stopped.
There were tiers coming out of this thing. This is my wallet. Don't just flash on my ID there. There you go, guys. No, I genuinely like it's been insane. And like again, like the last week we just had, the weekly I just did like yesterday. Unfortunately, Pat can't join me. And to be honest, it was probably a good thing because I did over 2 hours myself because it was like Higher Toys, another reveal. It was Super 7 with like their whole suite of SDCC reveals and the teaser for the Crimson Guard Ultimates, I don't know, multiple G.I. Joe classified reveal. It's just been insane, man.
The Walmart stuff.
Walmart Collecticon. Chuckles. Yeah? By the way, I'm wearing this in honor of receiving
Bazooka.
Bazooka.
Such a great figure.
He's so cute. Cute? Probably not the best description of Bazooka, but yeah, he's amazing.
I mean, it's not. Yeah, I mean, it works.
He's adorable.
Let's check in with the chat, and then we will get right into some discussion here. AI Collectibles is here. Says, good afternoon, Adam and Chris. Silver K, Master Versal Toy Hunter, Brick Something, Ostradamus Toys is here. What's going on, Oz?
Where are you, Ostradamus, if it's the afternoon? I suppose it is the afternoon here, isn't it? What time is the evening? What's the official evening time? Has anyone ever decided on that? Is it 5? Is 5 the official evening time, or is it 6?
I think 6.
There's a question. There's a question for you guys.
Because most people get off work in between sort of 4:30 and 5:30. So then I kind of think the evening starts when you're done work.
So the evening can't be the drive home. It has to be when you're actually at home, is what you're saying, right? Okay, I'm cool with that.
Although in the winter when it gets darker, maybe.
Yeah, well then it's like, but you don't. It does. Everything's the evening.
It's always evening. I go to work in the evening and I get home in the evening.
It's like living in
dark all the time.
40 days of night. It's like living in in that.
Oh, it feels that way.
The Antarctica or the Arctic? I can't remember. Probably both, actually. It's
both. Yeah, all of the above.
All of them. Anyway, sorry. Tell us when the evening starts, guys, please, in the comments.
Let us know when your evening starts. Yeah, I think
I should have put Bazooka on screen to start with, and then when I moved it away, it would have just still been Bazooka.
Still would have been Bazooka, of course.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
Well, speaking of figures that you've gotten recently, what's been your favorite figure that you've unboxed recently?
I think I should
And you
preface
kind of
this.
spoiled the answer. So
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It's not Bazooka though, guys. Don't worry. I do love Bazooka, but I mean, like, I've got to say, at the end of last year when we got that kind of deluge of figures, and it was crazy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was not necessarily a great thing to have all those figures come out once for a lot of people. I know that, like, a lot of kind of like, all the, like, being charged at the same time and all that kind of stuff. I like that. The evening starts when I pour the second picture of vodka martinis in about 30 minutes. I like that, Alison. Nice one. I'm drinking some out of my Snake Eyes glass. I've got it's not urine, even though you probably think it's that. What is it? It's Arizona ice. It's Arizona green tea with ginseng and honey. That's the whole. It's so good, guys. It's so smooth. Anyway, what was I talking about? Figures. Yes, that was nuts. So it's kind of been better in the rhythm going into this year, but they've still had that. And again, this is probably not their fault necessarily. It's just the way of the world and the fact we have access to all the information. But the way that it gets distributed, and we kind of get everything kind of piecemeal, and then some of it gets into the US about 2 months after everyone else has it.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy now. And like, I've got, there's Dusty and the Crimson Guard still to come, and Big Ben and Range Viper on their way, and Snow Serpent isn't too far off. How is that? How is this happening? Like, they've gone from like massive distance between reveal and delivery to being crazy, like, tight. And again, I'm still seeing the complaints because obviously other people are getting it first. It's always going to happen, in it, basically.
Yeah.
So
well,
anyway,
they're all shipping from the same place, but they're all shipping to somewhere that's a different distance.
Yeah,
and being in Canada, I almost always get everything last, except when we get things first, which doesn't make sense to me because we're the furthest away from everything, and it just. But every once in a while, things show up.
For a little while, I know, like, Luke Poulon, he's a good friend of the show. He comments a lot of stuff as well. Shout out to Luke. He is in Canada, and he gets stuff like super quick. Like, the store that he is what I'm saying, not friends with, but the store that his local toy store, basically, they get stuff in really early. So like, I'm kind of, I was a bit jealous of Canada for a little while, but no, that's, it's great that like each little area gets its time in the sun a little bit every now and again. So I'm cool with that, genuinely. I am, obviously, I'm impatient and I want to get those figures immediately. And I have got a nice hookup in Demand Toys. Thank you, Nick and Mass, the wonderful folks in Demand Toys, and everyone else that works there too, the entire team. So like, they're in the UK, so they do get a lot of import stock early. So brilliant. I'm happy with that. Now, getting to the point of your question, sorry.
I've got a slide. I'm just waiting to bring it up.
Just recently, we've had a ton. Like, the last wave was just phenomenal. The Shipwreck, Rock and Roll, Torpedo, Scrap Iron, Copperhead, just phenomenal wave. Like, there are slight tiny things about them in some ways that, like, you might go if you've been a bit nitpicky on it, right? But in general, that's probably the most refined wave I've seen to this point with the Classified series. A lot of the issues have been ironed out in some ways, and even though they went through that little dip with the factory switch, kind of like I said, in between the middle of last year coming into now, it feels like they're kind of getting on top of some of those issues again, which is great. Now, I got Snowjob and the Arctic Bat the other day, and they are...
Before most people.
I know, I'm a dick, but...
It is what it is. I mean, that's the... like I said, I'm up here in Canada, and I'm all very often, the last one to get something. But that's okay. The figures are so good that it doesn't really matter when I get them ultimately.
Yeah, so I feel the same way. When I put
my order in, and I sit back and I go, man, I can't wait to get these figures. In the meantime, I'll play with these awesome ones that I already have.
Exactly. When I see, guys on Instagram posting their figures, and I'm just like, oh man, that would be so cool. But yeah, I'm not having to wait that long. I'm genuinely not having to wait that long, and I'm happy to, like you say, to wait for them and get them because, like you said, we've got we're closing in 100 figures so far. That's numbered. I'm not even counting retro, blooming Classified and Fortnite and alternative variants and all that kind of stuff. We're close to that. And so anyway, I've got to say that the one, he didn't surprise me because I knew it was going to be dope, right?
Yeah.
But Snow Job for me is just ticking the boxes, right? And I had a few kind of preconceptions after seeing the figure images and the digital render. I wasn't like a crazy fan of the gray and white kind of combination. I kind of wanted it to be a little bit more camouflaged, if anything. Like use the gray but make it like a little bit more haphazard and random. The fact that it's used on certain square pieces and lines and everything, it kind of, when it gets to the top of the torso, it does that thing where it's like off center, and it's like the left side is higher than the right side, if you know what I mean. So I'm not sure if that's an OCD thing or if that throws me off a little bit. It could be. But I was a little kind of like nervous about seeing what he was going to be like in hand. But once you get all the gear on him, it just works. And in hand, so much. This is always the way. So much better than the digital renders show. Obviously, the product photography is sensational. Shout out to Shooting the Galaxy, who is a genius, in my opinion. He's up there with in my opinion, Mate Mylar, Plastic Battles, Paul Pamphilone, Brian Hickey, absolutely superb toy photography geniuses, in my opinion. They're my Mount Rushmore of toy photography. Modern toy photography Mount Rushmore for me. I'm not sure if they'll see this. I'm going to send them this so they have to watch that and hear me gush about them.
Cut that clip out and send it.
But big time, mate. This is my favorite of all of them. And one of the things is the backpack, right? This is just phenomenal. And I think this is probably why I love this figure so much. So what you can do with this thing is obviously it's just a backpack as normal, and then you can just put all of the gear on him. He carries everything except, depending on what head and hood option you've got, you're either left with the hood up head with the scheme got kind of hat on, or you're left with the hood down thing head sculpt. I forget the actor who's in that.
Kurt Russell.
Sorry, I'm an idiot. The Kurt Russell head. So so
Ginger Kurt Russell.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. So you end up like he carries everything. Like I said, the goggles go on both head sculpts. The pistol in the secondary, and then the backpack carries the snowshoes on those little clips that you can kind of see right there. They're on pretty strong as well. It's pretty awesome. And the best part about it is the fact that if you swing it round, the straps hold the skis on, peg in to the back of the backpack, and then the ski pole clips over where those tab in. So there's no way of it coming out. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just so well designed. Everything goes in tight and firm, Kitty said. And the rifle also slots in there nice and comfortably. So you end up with this I don't know, there's something really satisfying about having him carry all of his gear like that.
There are complete figures that have less engineering than that backpack does.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Four clips. Sorry, that's four, not that. 4 little tabs, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 areas to hold items. Unreal. So anyway, so Snow Job for me is and this is the thing, like I have that mentality, unfortunately, where the latest thing I have becomes my favorite thing. It's like, it's it's shiny, it's in your hand, I want it kind of mentality. I do have that a little bit, but in this case it's definitely warranted with Snow Job. So yeah, he's my kind of like favorite of everything recently. Not to take away from the bat though, which is also pretty cool. And even I don't have it. Yeah, we were doing this thing where I was told if you plug the chainsaw into his backpack, it's too loose. Like you push it in and it just comes straight out. But if you put it in and you twist, hang on, I'm not gonna be able to do this now, am I? Then I look like an idiot on screen. where was it? You put
Allegedly,
you plug it in and you twist and it locks in, and it's just like I don't understand this magic that's going on that particular figure. Yeah, you can watch my unboxing video where I was told on camera to do that, and I plug it in and I go, nah, no, oh, okay, yeah, it works.
Oh, sure, yeah, okay, thanks.
It's so weird. I don't even get how that's a thing. So yeah, even that is like a a bit of a bonus for me. But yeah, that the bat as well, it's like a completely new figure, and I said it on the actual video, but you know how you've got figures like Bazooka, for example, or Recondo or Outback, where they share so many parts with other figures that it's only like a torso or a head that's any different. Snake Eyes is effectively Stalker with Snake Eyes' head, right?
Yeah.
So but to me, they're two completely different figures. It's difficult to do it with a bat and have it be a different figure, if you know what I mean, like a different, like that's a different thing. But the Arctic bat is so different across the board that it is in the same vein. Like it's using some elements of the bat, but there's so many new things to it. It's a different figure, so that's cool with me. Anyway, what's yours?
Oh, where'd it go? There it is.
I dropped something. What was it?
My favorite is actually Bazooka.
Is it?
Yeah, it is, and it's much simpler than your description. It's quite simply because he was absolutely one of my favorite vintage figures, and there's something about just the football jersey and the bazooka, and just like he's very simple, but he's very, very well done. I love that they bulked him up a little bit like they did with G.I. Joe Resolute. They did him a bit dirty in Resolute, but
dying in the first. Sorry, spoiler alert.
He was never even alive in that. He was his only scene is on a slab, but the fact that he's a little bit oversized, I think really, really works for him. The sculpt is phenomenal. The head sculpt, the mustache and the hair just looks so good, and that helmet is. Can
I say a little thing about Bazooka?
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate many, many, many years ago now to see the Tiger Force Bazooka and Tiger Force Recondo in the early development. Like, like the first, I don't know what they call the, it was like the first kind of production sample, I want to say, of the figures.
Yeah.
Like a sample of it before they went ahead with the factory full on line.
So like a paint master or something?
Well, sort of, but it was effectively like like it wasn't a test shot, but it would have been like, here's a sample of what it's going to be, can we go forward, sort of thing, right? So I managed to see those two figures, and their head sculpts were the first thing that drew me in. They both had the helmets off, so it was like, and the figures are exactly the same as what I saw, which I'm happy for, because like I said, the head sculpts, man, just straight away, the kind of like the little eyebrow up a little bit, and Recondo I really liked because he had that, I don't know, the hair it looked good under the hat and everything. So
the
like,
kind of flowy hair that he's got.
Yeah, it was, and they both had so much personality. So yeah, I'm with you on that. The sculpts are phenomenal.
What's going on? Inutabi is here.
Hi.
That's yeah, I mean, but it's hard, right? Because like you said, there's the recency bias, and it's sort of like I could have picked any one of the figures that I got in that wave,
mate,
and probably not felt bad. But he kind of, just because of how much I like that character, and how much I like the vintage figure, he kind of just won out by default. But honestly, you could have picked anything in that wave. Scrap Iron was like one of those characters that people like. I don't think there's anybody. I know one person that was like, that was their most anticipated figure. But like, I think most people are like, yeah, Scrap Iron, I'll get it because he's kind of cool. But he's not a character that people love. He's not like. Yeah. There's a lot of characters that people have a lot, great fondness for. Scrap Iron's one of those guys that's just kind of around. But that figure is absurd. It's so cool. It comes with so much stuff.
Yeah.
The sculpt on that head with the scarring and stuff like that is just so good. The box, when I picked the box up, I was shocked how heavy it was. Because you've got that drone and you've got all the accessories and you got the figure and everything. But anyway, moving on.
Sorry, I was having a bit of a mic. I was having a bit of a mic issue there. Sorry if that was coming through. It's gone
Oh
now.
no, I mean I didn't hear it. I don't know if anybody else did. Let's move on to favorite reveals. We're gonna do a reveal each for June and a reveal each for July.
Yes.
Chris, what was your favorite reveal from Yojo June?
You'll have to put it on screen because I completely forgot what I said at the beginning of the thing. I'm just kidding. It was the snow serpent. Yeah. This again. I'm not doing the whole like, oh, I love snow figures, because it's weird. Like I do, but like it's not something that is, I'm not saying it because, oh yeah, snow is the best, or in farmer, not that snow, but like
Canadian.
Yeah, big time. 12 inches of snow. That
Yeah.
album, amazing. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But Snow Serpent, man, like, plus he's got Bazooka's gear, so game over, in it really. This was just, again, another, like, we are privy to some information, to most information, unfortunately. So we have to kind of like keep a lid on it a lot of the time. And this was one of those ones where it was like, oh, come on, like, can I at least say something about it? And is there a way I can get this out somehow? I think funnily enough, I think I accidentally, this is weird because it was an accident, but it wasn't a slip up that was, do you know what I mean? It wasn't on purpose, or it wasn't like a real big one, but it was joked in on the chat when I was in an episode with Pat. And we were talking about something, and I mentioned, that we've revealed this, and the Snow Serpent. And then someone in the comments said, wait, the Snow Serpent's been revealed? And I went, oh, no, sorry, I meant Snow Job. And I did mean Snow Job, but it was funny because I knew fully well
that Snow Serpent... at that point? For some reason, I thought it had been leaked when you said that.
No, nothing had come out at that point.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was like, I was kind of like laughing inside because I was like, oh no, I meant Snow Job, and everyone knew that was the case. But deep inside, I was like, but the Snow Serpent is coming. And we knew it was a deluxe. We didn't know what it was coming with, though. So this is another thing. Like, we'll know some information, and then when it comes out, it's like there's still a surprise element. And the surprise element here was the fact that they murdered Timber and used him as a coat.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. It's a wolf, but it's amazing.
It doesn't look far off, though. Let's be honest. Like the sculpt for the headpiece doesn't look far off. If that thing shows up with 2 scars over the eye, there's gonna be outrage. But man, such a good figure. And I remember when the leak came out and it was gonna be a deluxe and so on and so forth. And I remember thinking, like, okay, I mean, I can think of the vintage figure, and it did come with a lot of stuff, but I don't know if it warrants a deluxe figure. Yeah. And that sort of came after we'd gotten the deluxe Kamakura, and I was like, are we just getting a Snow Serpent and it's going to be $10 more? But this is a deluxe figure. I mean, let's be honest. They've definitely with a lot of stuff.
They've shifted how they do that stuff in a way, haven't they? Like they released that, like they say, they released the Kamakura, but there was no way in hell it needed to be more. But I think the main problem with Kamakura, because that's actually a really cool figure as well.
Great figure, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really into that. Like that was one of those ones where it was like, okay, cool, and then you get it in hand and you're like, okay, cool. But I think it's the other head sculpts, etc. It's such an expense that I don't think people really realize. The amount of work that goes into doing head sculpts is crazy. And I know, like, the sculptors or whatever, they're doing all of it, and it's like a lot of work in no matter what they're doing. But to some degree, you can to some degree you can kind of get base shapes to do other things, right? For head sculpts, you have to have a real quality about you. You have to have a real, like, long-term, like, deep in the game, Fred Axon, Paul Harding, blimmin' Bill Merkline, like, absolute legends in the game. I'm throwing Paul in there. I know it's, but then again, Paul's been doing it for a while as well, actually. So shout out to Paul Harding. But, like, Fred's been on G.I. Joe for so many years, like Boss Fight Studio, Fred Axon. So, like, they have to have, Dave Proctor's another one from back in the day, but, like, having to, like, get a head sculpt right and do it multiple times in different ways, that's difficult, and it's not easy, because that's what difficult means. That's what not difficult means.
That's the opposite of what easy is.
And so like I think that's what propelled that figure into that price point. Now they've noticed that it was not really accepted.
Didn't work for
And
people, for customers. It didn't work.
Exactly. And also I think they're probably rethinking the price point on things like the 3-pack as well, and stuff like that. So, you know, I think, you know, going forward, those things might be different. Who knows? But I definitely think that in terms of deluxe figures, they have upped their game. Snow Job, this figure. I'm excited to see what they do with Trips, because Trips is a deluxe figure. I'm just putting it out there, guys. Tripwire is a deluxe. So
yeah, and that's
one.
That's the one that surprised me too, because you think about Tripwire Vintage, and he's pretty basic. I mean, he comes with the mines, the backpack, and the scanner, and that was it.
Yep.
And so it's
metal detector. It was.
Yeah.
It comes with a beach level metal detector for finding coins on Munsley Beach. That is what
Best
he
Buy.
gets.
He picked it up at Best Buy. It was on sale.
Exactly.
And,
in fact, the Best Buy metal detector is probably cheaper than a deluxe classified figure. So you could get a 1-to-1 scale version of that metal detector before getting.
It's an easy cosplay to recreate.
I will just say, I imagine he's going to come with something pretty impressive then in that case, or a loadout that's impressive. And I
mean, I have faith that, you know, if they felt like they needed to do it deluxe, they probably had a really good idea that, you know, we can't even imagine, right? But
exactly.
My choice for my favorite reveal from Yojo June is Tunnel Rat. Again, it's a sort of sentimental, nostalgic thing. Always one of my favorite figures.
Great
as
figure.
a kid growing up.
Great figure.
They did him so much justice with this figure, with the loadout. You know, keeping the flashlights, although they're completely obsolete if you have night vision goggles.
Keeping the what? Sorry.
The flashlights, the torches.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, because if you say it the other way, it sounds really naughty. But if you say it that way, it's fine. I was just looking to see if Rock and Roll's gun was the same, but they're not. Isn't that crazy? They're completely different.
There's similarities, but it's not the same. I was looking at it this morning.
The bipod's similar, isn't it? But other than that, it is a completely different. Like maybe the butt. No, the butt's different as well. Yeah, it's a completely different rifle, machine gun. Sorry, that's incredible.
I mean, you get, you know, so much stuff with this. He still gets his pack, he gets his weapon or his ammo belt, he gets, you know, the pistol on the chest, the knife on the side there, the big gigantic backpack. This guy's traipsing through, you know, sewers and tunnels with a giant machine gun and a huge backpack. It never made sense.
No,
but it doesn't matter because it's G.I. Joe, and so that's what we get.
We have to get away from. We have to get away from this trying to ground it in reality, because that's when
these are not grounded in reality.
But that's when the best parts of the character or the figure or the accessory loadout get removed. And like, I feel like, you know, you just have to be like, well, this isn't real life. It's just a bit of fun. It looks cool. And that's kind of all that matters. You know, and the other beauty part of this line is, if you don't like an element of it, you can remove it. So it's like, you know, you can give him a smaller rifle. You can give him a different backpack. You can not give him a backpack to make it actually accurate in that he would be minimal equipment and he would just be, or he's just the guy that they go, hey, Rat, drop all your gear. You need to get through that tiny space and unlock the door on the other side. Or you're the one that's infiltrating through this swamp because they won't see you, etc., etc. You know, like, go through that. That's what you have to kind of do with it, I think, in a sense. But yeah, I mean, this is the beauty part of it. Like, I feel like people are very married to what Hasbro tell them it is. Everyone's really married to a name or a continuity or a character aspect, and it's like, it's whatever you want it to be. At the end of the day, it's yours now.
Yeah, it's yours, and you either you know, you buy it or you don't. And if you love Tunnel Rat as a kid, I mean, come on, this is just about perfect.
Can't wait for the Tiger Force version. Just putting it out there. Sorry, I will also say we haven't had confirmation about that, and I'm not leaking anything. I'm saying I want this in Tiger Force.
I want Sonic Fighters.
I think we'll have to wait a little while for Sonic Fighters, but only because I imagine that will be like a broader release thing.
Yeah, I could see that as being like a Walmart or a Target line kind of thing where they're doing. I mean that the Sonic Fighters Flint is Sonic Fighters Falcon
Well, yeah,
It's
Vulcan. Yeah,
it's one of my absolute all-time favorite decos.
PJs. I love those PJs. The digital camo, and
Yeah.
any figure with digital camo is just a winner in my opinion.
Mhm.
Shockwave, Sonic Fighters Falcon, version 2 Storm Shadow,
The Storm Shadow
Recoil.
is going to be deadly when they do that.
Oh, mate, it has to happen as well. It has to happen. I'm not going to give anything away here, but I spoke to Lenny once about that, and we were having this kind of conversation about the one that didn't make it. You know, like the one that's on the website, the one that's on the Higher Toys design, the
tattooed one,
tattoo and everything. And he's like, you know, a lot of people want that, but you know, like when what we have to do others as well. Like, you know, when do you think do people want that, or do they want the version 2? And I'm like, they want the version 2 as well, mate. Come on, get them out there. So
they want
yeah,
all of it. Want, you and I want all of it. I mean, that's the reality, is that like there's been a couple figures that I passed on, but not because I didn't want them, just because maybe I already had that character, or I already had, you know, whatever it was.
How dare you?
But they're all, I haven't done Tiger Force yet, largely because they're all getting heavily discounted, so I'll probably just end up picking them up all at once. But
that makes me sad on 2 levels then.
So I absolutely loved Tiger Force as a kid, and it's a means to an end. It's a space and an economy thing. Where
I totally get it, mate. I'm only joking, but yeah, I get you.
No, but it's tough, because those Tiger Force. I mean, we're very soon going to have, you know, enough Tiger Force figures where you would have a whole shelf of Tiger Force, and then at that point you're kind of like, yeah, that's really good. I have that one because that was a must-have.
That's that's the pinnacle of any Tiger Force figure ever made, isn't it? It's like kitty
really
shirt
is.
out back.
It really is.
It's so funny that my first Joe-Con that I went to was in 2015 or 2016. And I remember going to that one and not really knowing the level of how broad the Tiger Force Outback knowledge was. Obviously, I was kind of vaguely aware that Forastero was out in South America as well. But I go to that con and I saw about 50 guys with the kitty shirt on. And I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, everyone knows who he is. It's good. And yeah, and that's one of the reasons I think that we saw him early in Classified in that way, because that one is almost more iconic now than the Survival T-shirt. Like, arguably, I would say.
I would say among the kind of redecoed international figures.
Oh, he's up there, yeah.
He's got to be the top as far as the ones that people kind of like the most and recognize.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of the stuff, you know, you think of some of the Brazilian, Argentinian, you know, even the Fun School kind of.
Mortal and Sparta.
Even the Action Force stuff out of the UK, like some of that stuff just kind of goes under the radar a little bit because some are so similar that.
Destro Red Jackal, yeah.
Totally. Even Stalker with a red beret doesn't really land in the same way that, you know, a kitty shirt and white hair.
Totally
hits, you know,
totally. It hits different. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, big time. Anyway, yeah.
Alison Troy makes a very good point here. We all had our own headcanon as kids and played our own stories.
Yeah.
Why do we forget that as adults?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's almost like we have an idea and that's where we want it to go. When it doesn't go that way, it does jar with us a little bit. And I agree with you though. We have to be a little bit. We have to be more like water when it comes to that stuff. It's like I've got to say I've been really enjoying these narrative threads that they're running through. I actually had this conversation. Shout out to Jeremy Kimberlin, who I was chatting with last night on Instagram. But again, friend of the show, changes his name on the comments every time, so it's really difficult to follow who he is. I'm just kidding, Jeremy. But he basically said to me we were talking about this whole aspect, right? And I said like at the time, I've completely forgotten what I'm talking about. What was I talking about? I started talking about
headcanon.
Yes, headcanon. Right. So like, I still forgot what I'm talking about, but more my point anyway. But I was effectively saying, if I can remember what I was talking about there, it'll come to me in a minute.
The thread that Classified has been running.
Yes.
And I think like especially with like tunnel rat, mole rats, all like this dark energon thing,
So
I'm absolutely loving.
before I forget again, this was the thing I was getting at. What I think they've done is a marketing genius move. There's no media, there's no comic, there's no cartoon, etc. So there's none of that really. But what they do have is this ever so minimal thing every now and again where they give you a little bit more, and it kind of creates the story, and then you fill the gaps in.
Yeah.
And like you're kind of going like, and there I was speculating, oh, maybe the mole rats are the zombie element, and they, because you'd kind of given these little clues and these hints and everything. And then even though that was more to do with me trying to work out what the hell the mole rats were and where they fit into the line plan, it was definitely something that got me, got me my mind, a good segue as well, right? Get my mind going. And I was like, hang on, am I like falling into this narrative trap where I'm like, really, I want to know more about what happens? And the funny thing is, it doesn't give you any, the narrative has never ever given us an outcome. It's never given us a solid like stage by stage storyline. It's always just been this idea, and then your imagination has kind of filled it up, and it kind of makes me feel like a kid again in a weird way. So I feel like it's definitely affected me in that way. I don't know how it's affected you or the other people.
No, I felt the same way. And what I find really fun is each time a new figure is revealed and we get to see these sort of product shots.
Yeah.
I'm looking, okay, which background are they using? Which characters are part of this this issue of the comic book almost, right? Or this episode of the cartoon.
Yeah.
So with like Tunnel Rat, we had the Mole Rats. We've had there's a couple other figures. Looking back at Snow Job. Snow Job's an easy one because, it's winter. So there was Snow Job, there was the Arctic Bats, and even in the Arctic Bats product shot, there was like the destroyed, damaged one with Snow Job's boots sort of just visible, off to the side. And then the Snow Serpents are kind of like they got bats and Snow Job sort of incorporated in there. It's just
the best one was Snow Job. The Snow Job with the Arctic Bats behind him. Everyone saw it, and it was like, hang on, are we getting Arctic Bats? And they played it off nicely because it wasn't a mistake. That was 100% on purpose.
Oh
yeah, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, and people will be like, "Oh no, someone messed up," and like, no, genuinely, they would do it. That is their idea now, is to kind of sneak these things in and get you guys talking about it, and it worked an absolute dream. That
was
one
perfect.
Was the most obvious one, but if you watch the video back, it's not on screen a long time. Like it's almost like. And here's Snow Job with his hands up with a couple of guys behind him, and you're just like, what, huh?
What guys? Who are those guys?
And yeah, that was that was a beauty as well. And they got to reveal the confirmation on our show, which I was super proud of. Like I was really happy that they went, yeah, we can confirm that isn't coming in the line. It was like almost like a name only reveal, and I was like, get in.
And it's really, really clever because the way that they're kind of setting it up and kind of mapping things out is like. Yeah, we have Yo-Jo June.
Yeah.
But now it's carried over into July, and then presumably we'll get something in September, October, November, December. Like PulseCon will be in the fall.
Yeah.
So there's all these sort of times in the year that we know we'll get stuff, but they're doing a really good job of sort of keeping the momentum going in between those things. And I think stuff like this, where, they sort of give you a product shot that, they revealed Tunnel Rat a while ago. And I think technically the Mole Rat hasn't technically been revealed, right? Because it's next week Walmart's put it up on the site,
technically it is revealed because it's a July 12th preview of the 18th.
Next
so
week.
Effectively it is officially revealed. It's just not officially a pre-order. To be technical and specific, it has officially been revealed. Oh, and also Shooting the Galaxy on our show yesterday on the weekly in the comments confirmed that the Mole Rat has glow in the dark paint. How awesome is that? So the head sculpt, the zombie head sculpt, has this kind of like interesting like green and purple kind of glow scenario, which just blows my mind, man.
But Yo-Jo June gave us Tunnel Rat, and in the background of the Tunnel Rat shots were these guys.
Yep.
In both forms, right?
Yep.
Because we kind of saw something like this where they're kind of staggering, but we also saw what looked like the masked on version. So and this is something that's new. Like this has been this year, right? The The Snow Job, I think, was the first figure
Yeah,
that
that
I
was the
can
first.
think
Oh,
of.
actually, no. Sorry, I'll correct you again there, Adam. Come on, mate. The first one actually was the Python Crimson Guard in the back of Bazooka's
Oh, that's right.
image,
That's right.
because they did, obviously Bazooka came out in the wave just gone, but this guy has been on the docket, the plan, when he was supposed
For
to come
ages.
out
Yeah, yeah.
with Falcon and Outback, and then they
Mhm.
switched to the 5-figure waves, and he got pushed forward
Yeah.
a couple of waves. But yeah, and obviously in that time, Dusty and the Python Patrol Crimson Guard were also supposed to be
Supposed
earlier.
to come out. Yeah.
Yeah, so but no, that was the first one, but that one actually was funnier because we'd already got the leak of the Guard before that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We'd already gotten the rumor and the leak, and I think we'd even seen
An image. Yeah, we got the
like
packaging
this
image.
kind of shot, like the product shot of it.
It was a packaging image, I think. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like the front and back of the back of the package, yeah.
Yeah. What was what was your favorite reveal from July? It's right here. We were already talking about
It's
it.
got to be the mole rat, mate. And again, like I've said all I can about this thing. I think it is a wonderful new addition to the line. I think it's one of those things that's new, but it's got like a lot of inspiration from previous releases. You've got obviously the Zombie Viper's a heavy influence here, based on the head sculpt. But then you, of course, but it's a different thing altogether. This is a Dark Energon thing, which is like a nice Transformers crossover, whereas the Zombie Viper was the Compound Z, and it was more biological, I would say.
Yeah.
So, not to say that Transformers aren't biological, because I know there's a whole thing about that. It's just a different, you know what I'm saying, guys.
Yes.
Anywho,
Larry Reed is a big Transformers fan. He's in the chat. He's probably thinking, "Well, they're not."
Sorry, Larry. You know what I'm talking about, though, buddy. There's a difference in what's going on here in terms of the zombification, shall we say? And so, and I'm not that the Compound Z was natural or biological. It was like it's man-made as opposed to Cybertronian. You know what I'm getting? Why am I even explaining this? Everyone knows what I'm talking about. I always do this. I always over-explain these things, and people are like, dude, I'm not an idiot. So yes, the Zombie Viper's a big influence here. Obviously, the Hazard Viper from back in the day, that kind of like that kind of style, the Volcano, Viper or whatever it was called in, that was also released as that as well. But this, like that kind of aspect of it, the toxic aspect of it, the Toxo Viper influence as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff here. You're talking like Leaky Suit Brigade influence and all that good stuff. But then there's new things that are brought in. So this is kind of like some sort of like low-level science officer, right? So in the description, it's like Cobra Steel scientists and all that kind of stuff around the world. But then these guys are kind of like the rest. Like they take the cream of the crop to do all the actual important work. And then these guys are kind of like the grunts that have to be drilling and mining for certain elements to then, do tests and all that kind of jazz. So there's a really cool storyline behind it. There's a believable, but you know what I mean? There's like there is a weird grounding here. But then obviously you've got the helmet.
It's radiation, right? It's effectively radiation. So it is, it's not that radiation necessarily turns people into zombies, but it's within the realm of possibility that Dark Energon's radiation could.
Does this weird stuff. But it's not even just about the background of all of this stuff. It's also like, I love the fact that there's so many features that aren't necessarily clear at first glance, right? The backpack connects to the helmet, which also has a pipe that connects to the secondary. So all of that is like a one big connective piece and puzzle. Not only is that really fun, but also it's like real world. Like everything's connected to. It's got to be safe, and everything's got to be sealed.
It has to be the sealed unit and everything. Yeah.
So I love the thought of like unplugging a pipe, right? In like a toy photography shot, like unplugging a pipe and maybe having like another character doing it in a fight or something. And then in the next scene, they're taking the mask off and they're turning into this zombie, right? I just like the thought of this. You can have a narrative with the figure itself. And obviously there's those features. The secondary is really cool. And like I said, plugs into the pipe on the mouthpiece of the mask, which is really dark and brings out like Doctor Who vibes and like old school gas masks. And there's just something really interesting about it. There's a horror element, there's a sci-fi element, there's a fantasy element. And then of course you've got the actual accessories. We were told that this particular figure, it wasn't given a name, so we knew it as whatever the I can't remember what
whatever the code name was.
Flaubert, Flaubert, was a figure with a zombie head and a drill auger weapon. So from that's why I gauged everything else, and it made sense. It's got to be the mole rat, and everything has to revolve around that. So I love the fact that they've given them this like handle piece that connects to a weapon, and then you take the weapon off, and you've got the drill, and you know, you've got this kind of like battle kata influenced, you know, toolkit. You've got a halogen flashlight. What I thought was a oh no, that's the canister, isn't it? It's just in a different angle. I think I've only just realized that. But that canister at the bottom left is just at a different angle, and the handle's folded, so it makes it look makes it look like a light, but obviously it's not. But it's I thought this was like a I thought it was like a holding lantern thing.
Oh yeah,
It's called canister in the description, so I was corrected there. I don't know everything, put it that way. And and the scanner, the Geiger counter, which they have to call the scanner, but that's really like all these things just make it a really interesting, really fun, and a really awesome addition to the line, in my opinion.
My pick for my favorite reveal for July.
Oh, of course.
It's gotta be Chuckles.
It's gotta be me.
I've just been waiting for this figure, and they've done him. I've got one nitpick, but other than that, they've done him just about perfectly. My only nitpick is that I wish they had done the legs like they did it in the comic that's on the packaging. So longer pants, less of a boot.
Less army boot, yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, perfect. They kept it as vintage as I would want. They kept the shirt almost identical to the vintage. But they've also added the Joe Pro, which I love when they add the Joe Pro. Even just to put that little detail just kind of brings it up into that modern. And the loadout looks like tons of fun. The briefcase, the files, the lei, the Hawaiian lei.
Brilliant.
The beat up face too. Like
brilliant.
Love it.
Have you seen that image that kind of snuck out recently of him running across the beach with the handcuffs on? I love that. Shooting the Galaxy said, I keep mentioning him, sorry, but Shooting the Galaxy said there's loads more to come, loads more fun images as well that they've done with all of
I went back and forth between that shot and this shot for which one to use, but this one had sort of all the accessories and stuff. That one's just him running on the beach. It's hilarious, but I thought
can hear him
a better.
I can kind of hear him giggling as he's running across the beach as well.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly.
What I love about this figure as well is, you know, you can, again, there's a narrative being played out, of course, it's obvious, but there's also another thing going on here that they don't really show, and that's the beat up face thing, where you could have him, it's quite dark, but you could have him with, like, you know, in getting interrogated, and, you know, he's got the handcuffs on, like he's sitting on a chair kind of thing, he's got the beat up face. Again, toy photography is going to be amazing on this thing. And then like the knuckle dusters, I guess, or the brass knuckles are there because he's got to fight Crimson Bats, which is going to hurt if you don't have something like that. But again, it's a pretty dark kind of thing because Chuckles could be an interrogator himself. And, you know, he's going to use a pair of knuckle dusters on someone, like he's going to have to, you know, bend the rules a little bit himself. That's what I get the feeling might be insinuated as well as the Crimson.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I think Chuckles as a character, like the figure, I get why people don't really love it. It's a guy in a Hawaiian shirt with a pistol. Like the vintage figure wasn't much, but I always loved it.
Love it. And I loved it for a different reason though. We didn't get Chuckles in the UK, so it was it was
like a hard to find kind of thing.
No, it was not released. So the sad thing is, we got this for the Steel Core mail away. You'd get a massive poster with a tick, like all the artwork in little boxes around the Steel core figure, a special core figure in the middle, and then all the figures around, including Chuckles. There's a couple on there that we didn't get, but Chuckles was on there, and I'm like, hang about. We never got Chuckles. What a horrible thing to do to kids. They're doing their checklist, and like no one has Chuckles. Like it sucks, man. But sorry, carry on. But I know you were in the middle of that.
Oh no, I think, you know, Chuckles, you know, the character. If you didn't read, you know, his storyline in the Frontline comic book and you know the Cobra comic book, it's easy to just sort of, you know, not have any interest in him. I get that, when they've sort of announced or kind of teased that the next GI Joe movie could be like Chuckles focused,
Yeah.
I was like, yes. But that's because I've read the comic and I know what they could kind of do with the character, like the whole espionage, like like a GI Joe spy movie.
Yeah,
would
it'd
be
be
so
so good.
different from anything that they've done, but it could be so good, and it could be such a great way. Snake Eyes, I really enjoyed the movie, but I get that it was kind of a ninja movie with Snake Eyes and GI Joe shoehorned in.
Yeah, there was too many shortcomings on it, really. Like, yeah, in terms of storytelling and stuff.
Yeah.
As well, but I'm the same as you. I enjoyed it, but that, like, I'm so sad that it bombed so dramatically at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
I think using a spy to introduce a secret organization
Makes a lot of
is
sense.
a perfect segue. Like,
Yeah.
I think that would have worked better. But I get that Snake Eyes is a big draw, or they thought was a big draw.
Yeah.
Oh well. Life goes
What
on.
I will also say as well, we got the information of this, I think, a year in advance. We were told.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time that we got this information, and we were told it was Chuckles with spy gear, which I was like, awesome. And I was racking my brain. I think we talked about it when it was leaked originally, and when the leak was kind of found its way out, it was Chuckles with armory, and I was like, no, I don't think it is. I think because there were some things I knew about this, and I was kind of like going, it's Chuckles, but I don't know what that armory thing was. And I said that a few times as like because I couldn't say, I couldn't confirm for real. But like, I have to say, I'm so glad it's Chuckles with this spy gear. And I even said at the time, it's got to be a briefcase. There's got to be some sort of manila envelope. There's got to be, I don't know. I think we even said binoculars and stuff like that. But that's as far as it went because we couldn't think of anything else. And then all the other things, I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like the shades make sense. I think I joked and said there'd be like a disguise with like shades and a nose and a tash and a newspaper with holes.
The newspaper with holes in. That was I think that was the best one.
That would have been amazing, wouldn't it? And actually, I think I did say, how cool would it be to have a folded newspaper that you could hide the pistol in? And I said that. I thought that would be a really cool one to do.
The good news is that's one that could pretty easily be made. I mean, that's.
Oh yeah, you could do that yourself. Like you could just make a little newspaper. Totally, yeah, definitely. But even so, brilliant, mate. Love it to death.
Now let's very, very quickly move through these last ones. I know that you've only got a few more minutes, so we'll try.
I'm gonna give you extra time so we can do everything that we wanted to do. How does that sound?
All right, let's move on. We're gonna do biggest surprises, things that we didn't really expect, things that sort of caught us off guard a little bit. Now we will sort of give the there's an asterisk to this. There's a small caveat that a lot of these beforehand.
Before we move on,
I know a lot of these as well.
That is very true. Before we move on quickly, I just want to make note of the fact that yes, that does look like Soundwave with him, but we're calling it Sound Blaster because of his black change up in the Headmaster's cartoon where he was rejuvenated. So yeah, we're going to say Sound Blaster, not Soundwave, if that's cool with everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Coming back to what you said, dude. Yes, there's one of those things where I do know a lot of stuff in advance. And by extension, you know a lot of stuff in advance. So
there was still a surprise.
Yep.
Which is super, super fun. Luke Poulin down in the chat, just dropping in to say hello. We'll watch later.
I mentioned you earlier, Luke.
Awesome,
so you can enjoy that little shout out I gave you earlier.
So we're moving into surprises. So this was a surprise.
Yeah. So there's a bit of a story behind it in that we got listings information, or we get listings information all the time. And one of the listings was Aesop. And for the life of me, no matter what, I tried to get confirmation from every single source I had in the industry, could not for the life of me find out or work out who or what Aesop was. And so I know, like, it was Aesop. There's a few others as well that are still floating about that we're still not aware of. So there's still a few surprises left out there for me, which is great. Like, I'm happy to be surprised, genuinely. But this was a killer for me because, and I just thought, oh, this has got to be a redeco, because a lot of the times we don't get specific. We might get information that says, oh, it's this character but in a different color, and they'll tell us. but then some of the information we get, we just is nothing. You know, it's like a desert character, but we got nothing on this. So when this was revealed, I was like, oh, everything kind of locked into place. Everything made sense. It's like not even just a redeco, it's a kit bash redeco. So there's like, it's a minimal kit bash. Obviously, it's a head and a whole other array of figure. But like, I love what it turned out looking like. I love what it is. I love the idea of it. I love this Snake Eyes figure is great. It's one of my favorite Snake Eyes modern designs. That deluxe Snake Eyes figure is beautiful. And yes, it's been overdone. Like every Snake Eyes figure in the universe has probably been overdone. But when it's done differently, when it isn't just the Fortnite repaint or the retail all black or the slightly different Alpha Commandos kind of, you know, rejig. This is what we need when it comes to redecoing Snake Eyes. Something completely different, new to the line, new to the brand. And yeah, this is so cool for me.
Yeah, agreed. And as somebody that has most of the like 70 versions of vintage and 4-inch Snake Eyes, I'm here for every version of Snake Eyes. And when this one was revealed, it caught me off guard because you see so many versions of Snake Eyes that are like gray instead of black, or, you know, navy instead of black, or but they're always sort of in the same vein. Like you said, this has not been done before. There isn't a desert Snake Eyes. I particularly really appreciate this loadout too, with the guns in the sort of tan, the knife in the tan, and then all the blades being painted.
That orange blade is so cool.
The orange blade is so much fun.
It's like a friggin'
it matches
lightsaber.
The deco so well. It's so cool.
Sick.
But yeah, this was one that you know, nobody knew about. Well, Hasbro knew, but nobody apart from Hasbro knew about it. And it was a very pleasant surprise. I definitely understand, you know, the people that are kind of like, why another Snake Eyes? But the answer is because Snake Eyes sells units.
The answer is a simple one. Yeah, it's he's the most popular character in the brand. Like maybe like you could argue that, but he is. You could say Cobra Commander is the most popular, but he's not. He's like probably second in the. Is he more iconic? Possibly. But if you put Snake Eyes and Cobra Commander, people are going to know who Snake Eyes and Cobra Commander are. They're not going to know. Like the random person off the street might probably tell you who Cobra Commander is, but they're not going to tell you who Roadblock is, or they're not going to tell you who Gung Ho is, or Scarlet, or, you know. But a fan who knows G.I. Joe at any level or any stage will know Snake Eyes and Cobra Commander. But they'll know Snake Eyes, like, again, the most popular character, because he also has the element of being good and cool. Cobra Commander is obviously bad and cool looking. So it's like a, you know, genuinely, you have to kind of give it to Snake Eyes in that sense. Plus, the figure numbers don't lie. This guy has, I think, over 100 well over 100 versions in vintage, Sigma 6, 12-inch, classified, you name it. We're well into the hundreds at this point.
Monsters from Beyond says, I have so many Snake Eyes. Yeah, me too.
And everyone both. Yeah.
Ray Paz says, it is a good redeco. People are going to hate, so whatever. Yeah, I mean, I get the people that, you know, if you're not a huge fan of Snake Eyes for whatever reason, I can see it. I get it. But it is what it is. That's a great one too, though.
He is a beautiful figure. Sorry, carry on. So simple as well.
Biggest surprise for me. Now, this is a little bit of a twist on the question, because the surprise for me was how much I like this figure. When I knew this was coming out for months and months, I thought, you know what? I really like the version that we already got of Firefly. I don't know that I need a version 2, even if it is kind of more retro inspired or whatever.
This is a version 2.1, isn't it?
Yeah, this is like a reversion of
I like
stories
it. This is reversion -1. This is I like it.
But this looks awesome. This thing looks
So
so
good.
good. It's definitely a figure that I want now. The deco is fantastic. I think the accessories, the web gear, and everything is great. And I mean, it doesn't feel like that same figure. So I was surprised how much I wanted this. That was the surprise with this Firefly figure for me.
I have to agree. This again, like we knew it was going to be a certain vintage style. We knew it was going to come with certain things, but then when it got revealed, I'm like, ooh, night vision goggles. Ooh, a little drone buggy. That's pretty cool. And then you see like how it all locks in on the backpack. The
Yeah.
little mines clip into the bottom.
Mhm.
The rifle can or the pistol. Well, the rifle, let's say, can fit on the side of the backpack as well. And then the pistol goes in the holster. Knife goes in the sheath. And all the other bits and pieces can go on him, like
And he
so
can sneak
again.
around.
Yeah, exactly. There's a bit of sneakage going on there that you wouldn't get with bomb disposal Firefly version one.
He's a bit clumsier, that one.
But I have to agree with you on that one. I love that figure. I was
Yeah.
playing with it the other day, like kind of messing around with it. I'm like, this is dope. Like, I don't know why people have issues with him. Like, but again, that is people's opinions, and I'm not arguing with that. I couldn't understand really why there was so much hate around it. And
I
then
think the pushback was because they wanted this one.
yeah.
And I get that, but I've said this before and I'll say it again. This is a new line of GI Joes. I don't need this to be vintage figures scaled up. I like when they try something different. I like when they do the mole rat. I like when they do the crimson bat. I like the things that we never got. So when they said they were going to do this, I was like, nah, I mean, that's cool. But I got, the update. This has got some cool updates too. So anyway, that's definitely a figure
I
that's
think
under the ground.
Pat and I had a conversation about this, and he said that where the difference was back in the day with the 25th line came out with all of those original versions first, and then we got Pursuit of Cobra, and then you get Pursuit of Cobra years later, right? So it's like people have got, or they're satisfied they have the figures they wanted initially, and then you can go and do your experimentation, and you can create Shadow Tracker, and you can create like a different style Recondo with loads of like weird like things on his backpack and everything. You can do that kind of stuff, and fans will react to it better. Whereas in Classified, it was like, you want to get the vintage styles out of the way first in a similar way, but if you don't, you get that backlash because people are impatient and they want that version. And so definite vibes on that one. Same vibes.
Monsters from Beyond says, imagine being mad about toys. As an adult, I only get anxiety about toys. Yes,
I get anxiety for
that is
pre-orders. Yeah, that's what I get anxiety for.
I've got anxiety about this Chuckles because it's an SDCC exclusive, and then I know that I'm going to end up getting it.
Of course, you'll get it.
It's just the a lot of times I'm kind of like, oh, it's SDCC. If I can get it, I'll get it, and if not, it's not the end of the world. Chuckles is a little bit of an exception to that rule, where I really want that figure.
He's your Snake Eyes, basically.
I mean,
he's your Lightfoot.
Yes, that's it right there.
At least you get your character. At least you'll get your character 3 years in the line. I'm gonna have to wait to about 10 years in the line if it even goes that long.
Or who knows? It could be SDCC exclusive next year, and it could be like a crazy loadout.
They'll have to do a Haslab.
It could have like a RC. The little RC thing could actually be phone controlled RC. Maybe that's what they're waiting for. That technology to be
get Sphero toys on it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That was my biggest surprise of June. Biggest surprise of July for you.
Yeah, and this was a surprise, and only obviously not. I knew the figure was coming. We had the leaks, but we'd known again for a long time prior to the leak coming out. We knew this was coming, and so when we got Solo Sinner says, sorry, I know Diagnostic already mentioned a few times. Can someone drop the names of the toy photographers who shoots these products? Yeah, Shooting the Galaxy. Solo Sinner is one of them. Shooting the Galaxy. Paul Panfalone, aka Plastic Battles, is another brilliant. If you go on Twitter, Plastic Battles, you'll find him brilliant toy photographer. Same with Mate Mylar. Go on Twitter, find him Instagram. He's phenomenal. And Brian Hickey, who you can find at Total Toy Books on Facebook and I think what else is he on? Instagram as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he's amazing. So, and they all are. I just wanted to answer that question that popped up.
No,
on
absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
there's
they
only a
do
few.
great
There's
job
so
of
many.
selling these things to us.
Big time. And obviously, Shooting the Galaxy does Hasbro classified stuff. Mate Mylar has done stuff officially for Hasbro on his own channel. Brian obviously does a lot of stuff. Oddly enough, his books are official as well. So the Total Action Force, Total Battle Years, and the International Heroes Volume 2, they're all official, him and Paddy Lennon's books. So these are all like top level people that do this stuff. And as well, Plastic Battles, Paul Pamphilone, he's done stuff for Hasbro for Yo-Jo June, I think last year as well. So yeah, they've all done official work as well in that sense. But Shooting the Galaxy is the one that does all these shots for us, and they're amazing. So Shooter, sorry, not a surprise that she was coming, but a surprise at how impressed I was with the figure design, the character, and the deco, because you have the thing here was like, is it going to be the green one or is it going to be the black one? That was the question. Is it going to be OG, where she shows up in the declassified comic, or is it going to be the 3-pack Night Force kind
Night
of
Force
homage?
3-pack, yeah.
It's like the Special Forces, Special Missions 3-pack, Special Forces 3-pack in the 50th anniversary. So like, what's it going to be? And what they did was none of that. It was like, let's give her more of a personality, more of a character. Let's give her some interesting, new tooling. The head is all. She looks gorgeous. I love the hair. I love the different
the alternate
hair. I love the gas mask as well, with what looks like glowing green eyes. May I add? So that's awesome. And then the sneakers, man, just such a lovely touch to give her a bit more more kind of like loose, carefree kind of attitude, and I love that. A bit more youth in there as well, by the way, because there was a sneaking, like, when I first, not this image but the other image where she's in the product shot holding the rifle on the white background. That was the first one I saw, and I was like, ooh, that's a bit Fortnite-y, but that isn't a problem. And then looking at these figures and the shots and everything, I was just like, yeah, she's phenomenal. Love it, love her. And again, like I said, surprised with the design, not the knowledge of her coming out.
Right. I think the sort of the too Fortnite-y complaint is relevant when you're looking at the figure on its own, but I think on a classified shelf, it won't even register as Fortnite-y, because the proportions are correct for classified, whereas the Fortnite ones are a little bit off. But her proportions are correct. I mean, I'm there's a lot of parts reused in there. So there's some Scarlet, there's Lady J. Yeah. So I don't think next to them this is going to look Fortnite at all. I just think it's just something about it. I agree, and I think maybe the sneakers don't help.
It's probably the fact that she's just rocking the short sleeves and the sneakers is probably all it is, really, because the sneakers flare out the silhouette at the bottom. And Fortnite is all about having like chunky big boots and bigger feet and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and I think that's all it is really at the end of the day. But again, I think she looks great. I love that they did it, and I love that she's got like that kind of character. I know it's weird to say, like, shoes are not a character trait. It's not a personality kind of thing, but it does go towards making her a little bit more depthy and like going, okay, so she's a little younger, and she's probably a little bit more looser and carefree and more agile and that kind of thing. I like the fact that the vibe I'm getting with this, if you watch movies like Sicario or more kind of modern warfare sort of movies, like the kind of, there's been a lot recently about like kind of like the Gulf War and like the war in the Middle East and Afghanistan and stuff like that. A lot of those kind of movies coming out recently with the special forces guys who have to react really quick, and they might just be wearing casual gear like a shirt and they're raiding some sort of drug cartel or something, and they're just going in, they just put the vests on, grab the weapon, and they go in. And that's what it feels like here. It feels like she's just been called into action, and she's just rocking the t-shirt and sneakers, and then she's just thrown the vest on, grabbed the rifle and the gear, and gone into the battle kind of thing. So like that's the vibe I get from her, and I really like that aspect of it. Makes it real hardcore and special forces, like.
Billionaire says shooter is an easy pass for me. I put her in the Akiko category. Fair enough. And I will say this.
Akiko's
I
amazing.
wish there were more figures that I was able to pass on, because that would save me a whole bunch of money. That being said,
I love the
Akiko
Akiko.
is a phenomenal figure, and I think very, very underrated.
By billionaire, no, mate. That's obviously your, that's how you feel about it, and I'm not dissing that at all. But yeah, I have to say, like, I bloody love Akiko. I thought she was
me
brilliant.
Too. Yeah,
and the Blue Ninja version.
the Blue Ninja with the foot that stands a little bit better than the Akiko kind of healed one. Absolutely, yeah, I love both of those figures. I think that's a great figure. And again, so this is, and I don't know Billionaire very well. I mean, I've seen him in chats and things like that. So I'm not, I'm not speaking specifically to him. But there is an element of people that, like, they just want the vintage stuff. So when the figures like Shooter come out, it's an easy pass. Akiko's an easy pass. Kamakura is an easy pass. That's fine. You don't have to buy everything, right? I think
you collect
how
how you
dare
collect,
they make this
yeah.
is kind of weird, because there's lots of people that do want it. Because there's people, you have to kind of look at G.I. Joe in sort of its whole history, right? Yes, it started in the vintage line started in the 80s, but it goes beyond that even. So, the idea that, only the things that came out between 82 and 86 are like relevant is just not accurate. I'm not saying anybody's wrong. I'm just saying, the vintage line went into the 90s. Then there's the 25th. Then there's all the exclusives that came out through the fan club and everything like that.
Yeah.
There's way more stuff out there. And I think when people kind of choose to limit what they buy, that's fine. But to suggest that because you don't want it, it shouldn't be made, it doesn't really. That's a sentiment that I don't really agree with.
I have to say that
passing on something good for you. I wish.
I agree on that. I agree on what you said there. Definitely, I don't think Billionaire is in that camp.
No.
I just wanted to point that. I know you're not saying that as well, but like what I would say is on that one, it's always going to be personal opinion. Always, like, I'm going to like something for whatever reason it might be, and it might come across that I like everything, and to a degree I do, because this brand means a lot to me. And as a kid, it was like, like some people might think it was my parents, but it wasn't. Like, my parents are great. I didn't, like, G.I. Joe wasn't like, looking after me as I was growing up. No, but like, it was such a important part of my growing up, like, as a kid. And the toys I had lots of different stuff. I was spoiled, don't get me wrong. I was a spoiled only child, and I was aware of that. So I don't think I was necessarily, I was just given a lot of stuff. I didn't ask for it, may I add, but like, there was a lot of, wanting to please, shall we say. So like,
all the resources were funneled to you, so that just by default it worked out well in your favor.
POS. And I hopefully it didn't come across in my personality, and it doesn't, but that's by the by. But like, it was so important to me that I literally fell into that universe so many times. Like, I was like engrossed in it, as obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it. I do a show about it every day almost.
Every few hours.
Like, every few hours I do. So yeah, like, for me, it's like, it's I'm not saying I'm different and like I'm, I love it more than you do. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, because of that, like, I get excited to see it anywhere, in any facet. Like, I'll get excited to see G.I. Joe on a blooming what's the, those like little cardboard planes that came out recently from like a dollar store. I'll get excited to see stupid stuff like that. That helicopter that came out with the dragonfly artwork on it. I'm just
we saw that at the Dollarama the other day, and my 7-year-old said, "Are you gonna buy this?" And I said, "No, I don't need that." She goes, "But it's G.I. Joe." And I said, "I understand, but it's not something I need."
There was a time when I was just, anything with a Joe logo on it. That has definitely changed in recent years, because it's just too difficult to do. Too much to do. And especially when you take into consideration clothing and sneakers and all the other stuff. Super 7 on its own is like an absolute
Yeah.
behemoth of an investment.
Mhm.
But like when it comes to like, I basically tied to classified because it evokes so many feelings. Every single figure
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like, oh my god, like this is like, it feels like the masterpiece of GI Joe. Like that's what it feels like to me. Like in the Transformers universe, like it feels like the masterpiece level of
Yes.
GI Joe. You know, where it's kind of like
Yes.
it's reachable. It's I mean, masterpiece isn't as affordable as it used to
No.
be. It's dramatically gone up, and even you could argue back when it first came out, and you know, going into the early years, it was still probably a little bit difficult to buy all that stuff. But it was like, you know, 2 releases a bloody year. It wasn't like that crazy, but like, you know, the Joe line is like the masterpiece quality, but the price point of like, you know, every other 6-inch line out there, and a little bit cheaper in some cases.
And it's
So
the release schedule of Coronation Street. Every day there's another one, and you fall behind quick.
it's the release schedule of the Daily Show. That's what it
Yes,
is. Yeah, amazing.
with the drama to go with it too.
Yeah, definitely amazing.
Where were we at? What are we talking about? Was it? I don't know. We'll just go to the next slide.
Surprises for July, right?
Surprise for July. Night Force Crazy Legs was a surprise to me, and I think a lot of people were a little bit surprised because we had all convinced ourselves that we were getting some form of Hawk for the 3rd tier.
This is one of those things I want to say quickly where I need to start trusting in my own understanding and knowledge of the situation, right? We were told that the tier 3 was going to be a different character, and I will reveal who that is, and I think everyone knows anyway. It's not General Hawk, but it was going to, I mean, the hint is that we saw the silhouette on it on the you know, the missing image, like, you know, when you don't have the figure on it. So the silhouette was in the background. That should give you an idea about what we expected. Now that was told to us, and then we were told
in the product shops too.
Exactly. So we were told that there was going to be a particular version of that said figure at tier 3. I'm not going to say it, but I've basically told you. And also that was effectively from like a lot of sources that I would trust. Okay. And then we were told that that might change. So that's all we knew. And lo and behold, we get this, and it locks into place. Now, where I've got to trust myself is that it was never going to be General Hawk at any point. No point was that even thought about as a figure to go in the tiers. Yet people were so adamant that it was going to be General Hawk that I had to kind of go along with it a little bit and say, like, well, I'm going to think it's probably going to be version 1 or version 3 or version 4.
I genuinely thought that, you know, all the puzzle pieces made sense, right? You know, the hints of like the X's, and when people, you know, we were doing that. We were trying to figure out, do the X's mean anything? And then they kind of fit with one thing, but didn't quite fit. But then if you tweak it a little bit, then it works. But then that proves, you know, your theory for tier 3 or whatever.
Yes.
So it kind of made sense. And I was genuinely, you know, I thought, okay, if they do Hawk, they can't do version 2. That's too iconic. Version 3 just seemed like too much figure to release within the Haslab. But I thought, you know, version 1, just the kind of green shirt one, wouldn't require any new tooling apart from a head sculpt. It might not be a figure that people necessarily need. You know, if you need Hawk, I think version 2 is probably the version that most people would immediately sort of think of when they think of Hawk.
Well, this is the thing. I knew it wasn't version 2, and I'm just going to say it out loud on your show right now, but version 2, General Hawk, will be in the next wave of 5-figure reveals. I said it a bit before on the preview, before Yojo June, and it was a little bit ignored, I think, I would say. But it's Hawk, Helix, Buzzer, Ripper, and then a figure that hasn't been revealed yet, a name that hasn't been revealed yet. And you can probably work it out because there has been certain leaks in other different scenarios, but effectively that is the 5-figure wave that's come in next, right? So that is why we knew definitely that with all those hints that General Hawk was at version 2, General Hawk was like yada 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 in the promotional material and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't going to be him. And lo and behold, thank you, Emily, for just confirming at the end that General Hawk, Airborne, and Doc are going to be in the main line. So thank you for doing that for me. So I'm not really revealing anything. I'm just telling you it's version 2 and that's what's happening. Okay, get over it.
I think too the fact that like we've been saying, them sort of mapping things out and revealing, leaving breadcrumbs too, so that people are sort of always sort of getting the information that they need. I thought Doc could potentially be in here, or a redeco of Doc, or Doc's niece. I thought, you could put the female figure in there by including Doc, but not the Doc that maybe everybody needs or wants. And then it could have come with a stretcher. We didn't get that. I'm a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie, but I backed the Dragonfly day one. I didn't really care what the 3 tiers were gonna be.
There's also got to be that, like, we've got to kind of make that thing here. Like, someone messaged the other day, commented the other day, and said it's a shame we didn't get a 4th tier. And I'm like, you didn't get a 4th tier because they've included every single item in the base offering.
Yes.
So, like, this is the thing. Like, you got to look at it. It's the exact same layout as a Hiss tank, right? The exact same. It's just been presented in a different way, and you feel like you've lost out in some fashion. But effectively, what they did is they just refined the process. They gave you everything up front for the actual vehicle, and then they went, people only want figure reveals, so let's just minimize the tier amounts and just do that. So, but the problem is people don't see it that way. I think people are still convinced that they are somehow getting one figure less than the Hiss tank. But the Hiss tank was the driver, the tactician, the gunner, and Cobra Commander. That's 4 figures. This is Wild Bill, Night Force Ripcord, Glenda, and Crazy Legs. That is 4 figures each. They're exactly the same. So there is nothing. There's nothing that you're not getting here. And in terms of when you think about the fact that they're almost exactly the same in terms of what you're getting here, and a bit more in the Dragonfly with the stand, may I add, because that's a lot to throw in for a base offering.
It's a lot of plastic.
Isn't it? But that is like, and less money than the Hiss tank. So the value is through the roof. And if we unlock this, which we obviously will today, probably the way it's going, then I'm pretty sure that you're going to get more than you get with the Hiss tank in that sense. But it's harder to kind of communicate that when people only see it for the comparison, the direct comparison of tier amounts, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's there's no. I guess what ultimately the case is that there's no route map or guidebook for Haslabs or these crowdfunded projects. There's no okay, this is how it works. This is A, B, C, D, and we get to E at the end, because there's too many variables. No 2 projects are the same. So they keep kind of refreshing and trying something different. Like you said, with the Hiss tank, each tier kind of added to the Hiss. Whereas with this, they said, look, here is all the stuff for the Dragonfly. What you're going to get, once we go beyond that, is
what you're interested in. What you're interested in is what,
more figures.
It's effectively pre-paints. You're totally right on that one. But again, you look at the Hiss tank, and people will kind of saying, well, you get so many different figures of the Hiss tank, and you got Cobra Commander, but you got Wild Bill, like the Hiss driver. You could argue is a character, yes, 100%, or it's just a generic Hiss driver that you could have in any Hiss tank. The tactician is a variation of the Hiss driver. The female gunner is a variation, but obviously a different gender of the driver, and the that it's the same, effectively the same thing, but different packaging, shall we say. And the Cobra Commander is the only standout sort of figure.
Sure.
It's just flipped a little bit with the Dragonfly, because of the nature of what Cobra is and the nature of what G.I. Joe is. G.I. Joe is effectively full of characters, and Cobra is effectively full of troopers. That's what you end up kind of having here, and there's a bit of a mismatch in a sense in how that works. But if you just look at it as a flip, then Wild Bill is your Cobra Commander, and the other 3 are the variations on a theme.
Yes, exactly.
And they're still characters at the end of the day. So you're getting 4 apps. I think you're getting 4 absolute gunners. Like You know,
Yeah.
Wild Bill is a great figure, a stunning figure, in my opinion. Night Force Ripcord is so cool, it hurts. And I'm really glad that there's a couple of things I'm a bit, like they painted themselves into a corner by copying Crazy Legs deco in the first place for the O-ring version. So they've done it in a way that means that when they revealed Night Force Crazy Legs, it's like, well,
Didn't we
we're just
already
gonna
get that?
it's the same figure in it, but like
that's my only complaint about these tiers is that we got Night Force, Ripcord, and then Night Force Crazy Legs. Because when we got the Sky Striker, that was some people's complaints about Night Force Ripcord. Then was that it's so similar to Night Force Crazy Legs, which a lot of people already had, but a lot of people don't have it either. So it's a cool figure to get. But I think it makes sense, right? And these are pre-paints, right? So these have to be things that
100%.
aren't going to be things that people are absolutely going to be rioting if they can't get.
Exactly.
So Ripcord or Crazy Legs in a standard deco, I think is just not on the table because people will be up in arms. Glenda, I think, is one of those curveballs, and a lot of people were like, "Why would they do that?" Whatever. It's a pre-paint.
I love it.
I love it too. It's another one of these international sort of figures that we probably wouldn't get normally in the line. It doesn't quite fit. What wave would you put it in? How would you introduce her? Stuff like that. And now we know, I mean, without pretty much a shadow of a doubt, that we're going to get a retro inspired Scarlet, which is something that people have been asking for. So even if you don't like Glenda, you're going to get, the retro Scarlet that, might fit what you really do want.
Yeah. It's a pretty obvious window into the future, this lineup right here. Someone said to me the other day, yeah, but you can't guarantee repaints. And I'm like, yes, I can. You can, almost certainly.
Expensive.
They have to reuse this stuff. And like to reuse a whole figure and run another figure, that is like so important. Guaranteed we're getting Ripcord and Crazy Legs in their regular decos. When in the future, we don't know exactly, but they're going to have one or two spots for repaint figures in the 5-figure waves. It can't all be brand new, like, each time. So, I think someone used the Recondo example, but it's like, we will get Recondo. 100%.
100%.
It's going to happen. So do not worry. Repaint, pre-paint, whatever you want to call it. If you're getting that figure first in like the Tiger Force or the Night Force, you're going to get it regular in the future. It is really just a matter of being a little patient on it, because I think that is a swear, or that's a very taboo word when you mention patience to fans in chats, because my goodness, I know
all about it. Yeah,
got some pelters for saying all you got to do is be a little bit patient. It was like, no, how dare you? So yeah, I mean, just chill. Are you in a rush? Do you need everything now? I certainly don't, and we're kind of getting everything pretty rapidly. So yeah, and Retro Scarlet is happening. We all know that. So yeah,
it's an interesting debate, because the sort of pre-order. When does the pre-order come versus when do I get the product? Because there's also the thing of, if we get the pre-orders with a few months in between, you've got time to get your order in, right? You have time to kind of wait and sort of decide whether you need a pre-paint or you're willing to wait for the standard deco, or what your funds might be sort of in that window as well. And I just think when things get sort of released and they're just on the shelf and you have to buy it now or risk not getting it, which was a really serious concern for a lot of people a couple years ago, especially. The way things are working now, I have no problem with. I mean, you get your order in, and now Target canceling orders or Walmart or Amazon canceling orders aside, I mean, that's a totally different sort of conversation. But the fact that you get your pre-order in and then you wait, like I said, I've got a desk full of G.I. Joe figures that I just opened. They're still warm. They still smell. They still have that new plastic smell. Being angry that I have to wait a couple months or a year to get my Dragonfly or whatever is just a little bit odd. It's just it's foreign to me. Feel how you feel. I'm just it that doesn't really work in my brain, so and it doesn't matter. But
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you're gonna get it, guys. You're gonna get everything you want eventually. I think there were, you know, I can think of comments from like a couple of years back where it was like, are we ever gonna get like Shipwreck? Are we ever gonna get, you know, Rock and Roll? Are we ever gonna get Torpedo? Are we ever gonna get Copperhead? Are we ever gonna get Scrap Iron? Are we ever gonna get the Dreadnought? Yeah, you're getting the Dreadnought. You're getting 2 of them next time.
You're getting 2 of them in the next wave. And
and
still,
Ripper,
that's the one that I hear the most. Why won't they just do the Dreadnoughts? Well, we've gotten Zartan 3 times.
Zarana.
We've gotten Zarana.
I didn't know it was you.
We've had name reveals for Torch and Buzzer, and I think Ripper too, right? Or is that
no? We've had
We just know that we're going to get
Ripper,
it because we've
had name reveals for Buzzer and Ripper. I don't think have we had Torch yet. I don't think he's been a name reveal yet.
I'm not part of it is that I'm not a big Dreadnoughts guy. Like, I like the figures and I'll definitely 100% buy them, but I'm not, you know, banging on Hasbro's door asking about the Dreadnought. So I know that they've name revealed a couple and that we're getting them soon enough. But people are kind of, there is that sort of Willy Wonka, like, I want it now, you know, like
but this is the thing, like, you know it's coming. Like, everyone knows it's just around the corner, but you just have to be like, I'm going to get them when I get them. Like, I'm like, what? I don't know. I don't understand the, well, I do understand the because we've all been conditioned to get everything right this second and have it immediately. But, you know, you're talking about a 6-inch figure line. I mean, there's still Star Wars figures that haven't been released in the 15 or 20 years that the Black Series has been going. God, has it really been going that long? It's been going for about 15 years now, hasn't it? Or have I just added years onto that?
Feels like longer.
I'm gonna have to look that up because it was definitely like, yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. It's been a long time, and they have got nowhere near revealing it, like releasing everything.
Yeah.
Obviously they have a lot more media to back it up and things happening all the time. But I mean, you're talking about 350 characters of G.I. Joe. So like,
yes. Billionaire says, in the first 2 years I chased everything down. Now I can wait. The line is on cruise control now. Absolutely, that's how I feel too. Is that distribution has been better, the numbers have been better, apart from a couple little blips. Mindbender's been a weird one because some people got their delivery and some people haven't gotten their deliveries yet and stuff like that. So, but I mean, again, 1 in 100 figures. It's kind of like, you know, Falcon's a dud, but he's 1 in 100 figures. So, you know, it is what it is. But so there's your tiers. Let's take a look at this. Numbers wise, we are currently sitting at 18,186.
It's gone up again. 202.
Is it? I didn't refresh. I refreshed a minute ago when I was about to pull this up.
18,207 now.
18,207. So I mean, we're well on the way to that 19,000. Probably by the end of the day today, I would think. We're going to wrap it up with this, Chris.
Yes.
What is your prediction? How many Dragonflies will be backed by midnight tomorrow night?
I'm going to say my number is 21,567. 21,567.
That's a little higher than I've gone. The number that's been in my head has been 21,036 units.
Ooh, that's nice. I like that one. I can see that actually happening. I can genuinely see that being up on screen.
In my brain as the number that we're going to see tomorrow at midnight. But somebody was saying in a post somewhere, they were like, "What if it stopped at 18,999?" I said, if there's 5 minutes to go and it's at 18,999, I will back one more.
Back about 10 more just to make sure, yeah.
I was like, there's no way it's stopping at 18,999. There's absolutely no way. Anyways, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, Chris.
Thank you for having me on, mate. Really appreciate it. It's been great.
We'll have to get you back on again. I think I thought of this when we were chatting earlier. We get that recency bias. I think we should do a video of like we'll start thinking about it now, but the next time I'll have you on, we'll pick our top 3 in the wave. I'm thinking once we get to like 100 figures, maybe we'll do that.
That's a good one.
Our top 3 Joes, top 3 Cobras. retrospective.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. I'm up for that because there's so
'Cause
many to choose
You're
from
absolutely
as well.
right. I mean, you and I both, we're doing videos, we're unboxing things, we're reviewing, we're talking about the latest thing all the time. And I think that we forget how awesome 00 Snake Eyes was.
Totally agree on that one. Yeah. But anyway, dude, thank you so much for having me. It's been a load. It's been a blast. I went over a little bit. I feel bad because I did say I'd have to have a hard stop at 6, and we've gone for another 45 friggin' minutes. How does it happen? Every single time.
Happens.
I do enjoy chatting with you though, mate, and I love these shows. So yeah, really appreciate you having me on again.
Well, I appreciate it. It's been a blast. Thank you guys all for joining us in the comments. Anybody that's watching on replay, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notifications if you want to know when the next one is. And until next time.
Just going to keep waving.
And I'm just going to let this run for like, no, I'm just kidding.